can I, or maybe can you, or maybe someone you know, can you save your house from foreclosure? And that's a pretty damn good question, and a question that I once asked myself. And to be honest with you, and to cut right to the chase, the answer is yes. So hopefully that takes a little bit of stress off of your shoulders. But stick around to the end because there's a lot to know rather than just the short answer of yes. Welcome to the channel. I'm Chris Nelson. And as I mentioned in my very first video, I once went through foreclosure. And the reason this channel exists is to help you potentially avoid the same thing that I went through and hopefully help you save your house at the end of the day. As usual, there is a guide that you can download in this video and hopefully throughout all of my videos simply by accessing the link in the description. Today we are talking about whether or not you can save your house from foreclosure. And as I mentioned, the answer to that is yes. But what you want to know, or some of the things that you need to know about when it comes to saving your home from foreclosure, well, that's what we're going to go over today. So do me a favor, before we jump into any of that, go ahead and hit that red button. And while you're at it, mash that bell so that you're notified of all of my future content, because you never know which video is going to be the most impactful for you in your situation. So the first thing you need to understand is that a foreclosure is nothing more than a legal term relating to a process. So when someone says that you are in foreclosure, it's very important for you to understand whether or not you are in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, which means that you are just behind on your mortgage payments and you are heading into foreclosure. And a lot of this is important because when it comes to understanding what you need to do or what options you have, knowing whether your loan is in pre-foreclosure or in foreclosure is impactful. Now, again, I don't know where you are at when you're watching this video, so this information does pertain to Pennsylvania. If you're in other states, there might be some information in here that would pertain to you in your situation. But again, this video and the information in it is designed to help people in Pennsylvania. Now, Pennsylvania is a judicial state. And the reason that is important to know is that in Pennsylvania, you have to go through a legal process, or the loan servicer has to go through a legal process once you stop making your mortgage payments in order to foreclose on the property, which is a good thing, because if Pennsylvania were a non-judicial state, then a servicer or investor moving to the actual foreclosure happens a lot faster. So again, because you have a little bit more time in a judicial state such as Pennsylvania, you have a little bit more time allowing for you to exercise more options. When you start missing your mortgage payments, generally it takes about 90 days before you will receive what's referred to as an acceleration letter, or lis pendus, or a notice of default. There are several terms that relate to this letter or notification from the servicer that basically says, dear borrower, you are behind on your mortgage payments, and if you do not get caught up, we intend to foreclose on your home. In that scenario, when you are served an acceleration letter, you actually can still make partial payments. To make things easy, let's say that you're behind 3 payments on your mortgage. In that scenario, because you're not in foreclosure, you reserve the right to make partial payments, meaning you can pay 1 month or 2 months, or if you have the financial ability to pay 3 and get the loan caught up, great. But moral of the story is, when you're in pre-foreclosure, you can negotiate or make payments that are less than the full amount that is delinquent. When you are in foreclosure, that changes. Once the loan is actually put into foreclosure, the loan is sent to a foreclosure attorney, which will handle the legal proceeding from there on out. Now, once it goes over to that foreclosure attorney, that attorney is also going to attach or include their fees. So now not only do you owe the mortgage company, but you owe the attorney as well. And whatever that amount comes to, just like I mentioned before, if you were 3 months behind, and let's just say you owed $5,000 at that point, and it goes over to the foreclosure attorney, and they add $500 in fees. Well, now you owe $5,500, but the difference is, and this is where it becomes very important, is that instead of being able to make a payment less than the $5,500, once you're in foreclosure, whatever the delinquent amount is, is what you need to pay in order to get your loan reinstated. Again, there's some time and there is a process in which all of this happens. Now, a few things that you may notice or a few things that happen when you stop making your mortgage payment. Once you receive that acceleration letter, your servicer is going to start doing things on the back end, things to help them understand exactly what's going on. So they're going to start sending out third-party vendors. And these vendors are going to do things like complete a BPO. That BPO stands for a broker's price opinion. This is the bank's way or the servicer's way of knowing a few different things about your property. A, they want to get an idea of whether or not it's being occupied or not. In your mortgage, there's language in there that says if the bank realizes or comes to realize that the house is abandoned, vacant, and not secure, they reserve the right to secure the property, meaning they can send their vendor in, rekey the property, and put basically their own lock on it. Now, I'm not saying that they're locking you out of your own home, but they do have the right to secure an unsecured asset. Another thing that they're going to determine when they're sending that BPO agent out is they're going to determine roughly what the value of the home is. And they're doing this for a couple different reasons. And a lot of it has to do with the decisions they make on how aggressive they want to be with the foreclosure proceeding. There's a lot that goes on with the mortgage that you don't understand that happens on the back end when it comes to investors and other things along those lines. But again, this BPO that happens is done to give both the servicer and the investor on the back end some information on that particular property. So if you see people driving by the property, taking photos, that very well might be what they are doing. But again, before any of that would happen, you would receive that notification from the servicer. Again, that acceleration letter could also be known as a lis pendus or notice of default, and that is a legal part of the process. Okay, now that we fast forward and the home actually, let's just say it's unfortunate, but now the loan is in foreclosure. We've already identified the fact that you can no longer make partial payments and you have to pay the full amount that is owed. If you can pay the full amount that is owed, the loan gets reinstated. Your home is no longer in foreclosure. There are things that you can do with the servicer as far as other workout options. What I mean is, just because your loan is now in foreclosure and you can't afford to make the payment to bring it out of foreclosure, don't give up. There still may be other options for you, like a modification or forbearance, maybe a deed in lieu, which does unfortunately require for you to give the property back to the bank. But again, there are other options, and I will be doing other videos to help you understand those options and maybe understand which one is best for you. Now, once the house is foreclosed on, unfortunately, at that point in the state of Pennsylvania, there is no recourse for redemption. There are states where there are rights of redemption, meaning after the home is foreclosed on, you do have the right to go back and redeem it. But in Pennsylvania, for a sheriff's sale, not a tax sale, but specifically for a sheriff's sale, once the house is foreclosed on, there's very little that you can do. But just because you are in foreclosure, if you exercise the right options, you very well may be able to get yourself out. So hopefully you found some of this information to be of value. And if you're currently going through a foreclosure, please understand that I wholeheartedly understand the stress. Because again, I was once in your shoes. So if you have any questions or there's anything I can do to be of value, feel free to reach out. Everything is confidential. And again, there is a guide that you can download, which will hopefully help you navigate through some of these waters. As I mentioned, I'm doing this because I care. So once again, Chris Nelson, until next time, take care.